Are you recording this?
No, I am.
All right, now you're recording it. All right, keep this in the YouTube video, like as we intro.
This is going on YouTube?
Yeah.
That's kind of exciting. I don't think I have anything on YouTube.
Yeah. All right, well, hey, good morning and welcome to the Seven Figure Podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Edward, and with me today is Greg Guenthner. He is a good-looking editor, probably our best-looking editor at Seven Figure Publishing.
That's why I'm here.
So how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Great. So tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, what's going on with you?
What's going on with me?
Yeah.
Like right now?
Yeah.
Well, let's get started with some of the stuff that I do for Seven Figure. How about that?
Yes.
Okay, so I write the Root Awakening Pro every morning.
Mm-hmm.
It's every morning the stock market's open. It is a daily trading letter where I talk about the markets, stock trading ideas, and what's happening, and all that good stuff. And then I also work on Seven Figure Signals, which is a brand new product, where we use data-driven analysis to mine social media like Twitter for sentiment spikes, and then use that to make plays on the stock market.
Awesome. This is my favorite stuff. I'm a tech guy myself, so I love the whole analysis stuff. You know, we can geek out about that all day. But tell me why you got started in doing this. Like, why is this your passion? Well,
it was a long trip. So let me go all the way back to the 90s, the stock market boom in the 90s.
Ooh, can we get like a timeline in the video? It's just like going back in the 90s right now.
Me as a kid in high school in the 90s,
we'll flash a picture of you
watching the stock market. So yeah, when I was growing up, I didn't really think that much about stocks or the stock market or anything like that, like any normal kid would, until the .com boom started happening. And I went to college, and I started college in the late 90s, like right near the peak of everything. And I kept on hearing all these stories from my older friends who had graduated, and they were all getting these crazy jobs for .com firms in like Tyson's Corner. I'm from Virginia, and so like that was kind of the Silicon Valley East, where all these guys were making like $10,000 bonuses right out of college, getting signed to these companies, and I was just like, wow, this is incredible. It's a whole new world. You know, everything's perfect. This was pre 9/11. You know, Clinton was president. The economy was perfect. You couldn't lose. Everybody was getting great jobs right out of college and all that. And I was just starting college, and my dad, who is not in finance, but has always been kind of interested and kind of cued me into personal finance and all that good stuff, taught me all that stuff from a young age. He said, Greg, I think you're a smart guy, but I think you should start trading stocks.
Ooh.
You can make a ton of money. They're just going straight up. So you should get an E-Trade account and open it up and start trading. He's like, I bet you can make a ton of money and pay for your tuition. And I was
disclaimer: there's other brokerage accounts out there.
Well, there really weren't at the time. I mean, that was like one of the first ones, and I picked that one because you only had to have something like $1,500 or $2,000 to open an account. But at the time, I was working and going to college at the same time. That was basically all the money I had, and I was like, okay, I'm going to save up some extra money here so I have some money to live off of and buy pizza and other stuff. Mostly pizza, you know, and books for school. I'm going to save up some extra money, and I'm going to put $1,500 in an E-Trade account, and I'm going to trade tech stocks and become a millionaire probably within 2 or 3 months, you know, and retire at 19, and that's it, right? So this was, when I made that decision, this was December of 99 to do that. And just a few months later was the top. That was the top of the dot-com bubble. And the market started falling. I hadn't saved the prerequisite money that I decided I needed to save in order to start that account. And so I was like, oh, well, stocks don't go up anymore. And I just totally forgot about it. And that was it. So that was my first experience almost diving into the markets. But I always had a keen interest in kind of following along and figuring out how things went, you know. And by the time I graduated, I'd just taken a bunch of classes that I wanted to take in college. I didn't really have much direction. But I got into journalism, and I started writing for newspapers at probably the worst time ever to start a journalism career. Before the Huffington Post and, you know, the Gawkers and all those places were hiring young people to write and paying them good money. But after newspapers had already had this huge decline and were laying people off left and right. So I was making a pittance, you know, like trying to get this journalism career off the ground. And I said, I got to get back into the stock market game. I got to figure out how to make money in the stock market and how to launch a career in that. And that's how it all started. And I started, I was hired by Agora way back in 2005, and I had read a bunch of books and prepared and tried to get in a bunch of places, and Agora was the place that said, hey, you can start out here and figure all this stuff out. And here I am. I've done it ever since, and I've developed this huge passion for the markets, and it's been great. I love it. Cool.
Anything that stuck out to you about Agora back when you started?
Yeah, it was such a small company when I started, and I mean, my foot in the door was the fact that they were just looking for bodies. It was like, hey, are you interested in learning all about, financial research and all this other stuff? And so, I had a little bit of background, but nothing I could put on a resume and be like, look at all this stuff that I've done. Look at all this amazing knowledge I've gained. It was basically just like, give me a chance. Let me show you what I can do. It's like going back to what my dad told me. I think you're a smart guy. I think maybe you could make something out of the stock market thing. And so I leaned on that, and that's how I got my start.
Awesome.
So I was never a big time Wall Street hedge fund manager. I never worked up in New York or any of that. I don't have really any desire to do that. I love the independent research and being able to say what I want about the markets and how I feel about things and all that. All the stuff that you really can't do if you're working as like some sort of Wall Street analyst, where you're expected to, like 80% of the companies you come across and give them the thumbs up to, everybody that pays for your research and all that. So.
Well, hey, you do really well, right? Like, you've been here this long and you're still here.
Yeah, I'm still here. So, and I'm being interviewed in front of a fancy fireplace. So I must be doing something right.
With a vase in it?
With a vase in it, I guess. Yeah. So, yeah.
Your service, out of the 7-figure publishing services, has the most of stock picks per year, right?
I would think so. Yeah. I mean, I publish every day the market's open, and so I'm always looking for new ways to trade, new stocks to trade, and that sort of thing. So yeah, I think I'd have the most picks of anybody.
Were there any books that helped you learn how to trade on a daily basis? Like, anything that comes to mind? We're in the information age. There's like limitless information out there where you can for free, basically.
Right, where you can get on blogs or follow professional day traders on Twitter if that's your thing and all that. I mean, I don't really trade on that short of a time frame. I'm looking to swing trade, position trade stuff. Hold it for days and weeks, not try to flip stocks like hamburgers, before lunch, because I feel like that's a losing battle for most people, and I want people to be able to act on the stuff that I recommend,
right,
and make it easy for them. And so I stick to the little bit longer trading time frames. But yeah, there's all kinds of resources you can go out there. But I think that
you can watch this. This is free.
Yeah, but I think the most important thing is if you're starting out and you want to learn about the markets, don't do what I did when I started out and thinking that you can, I'll just learn how to be really, really smart and research and just know things better and find things that other people can't find out fundamentally about stocks, because you probably won't be able to win that game. There's people being paid a lot of money by Goldman Sachs or whoever else, to out-research you, outgun you, and beat you to the punch to a lot of these investments. And so you can't really win that battle. But what you can win is you can learn how the market operates. And I think the two main things are learning how the market feels and learning how the market looks. And there's a couple of good books that can help you do that. One of them is Irrational Exuberance by Robert Shiller. You probably heard that name before. He's the economist, the Yale economist. The Case-Shiller Housing Index, that's him. And so he wrote the book Irrational Exuberance, and it's got a lot of the tech bubble stories and stuff like that in it. They give you a feel of what happens when the market goes crazy, and how people act when stocks go up and how people react when stocks go down and things like that. And so I think that's super helpful in a book like that, which is accessible and interesting, rather than learning I have to learn all these fundamental techniques and all these, Excel macros and figure out all this discounted cash flow about the market. Sure, dive into that later, when if that part of the market interests you. But for the most part, learn how the market feels, and learn how people are going to react to it. Learn that behavioral finance stuff. That's the stuff that can save you when things get too hot, and when people sour on the market, and maybe that's a good time to get in, and learning how to think, with a contrarian viewpoint about the market and not get stuck with the herd.
Right.
So that for market feeling, I would go with something like that.
How does the market feel right now?
The market feels kind of scary right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
This is December 13th we're shooting this.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so stocks have been, U.S. stocks have been in correction mode for a couple months now. Where emerging markets have been in correction mode all year. So yeah, things feel a little volatile and a little scary right now. But then again, there's all these competing narratives and politics are getting involved. So there's all this stuff to look out for. But you can isolate how you can react to those things if you learn kind of the behavioral finance stuff. So feeling, go with the Schiller book. For how the market looks, I would go with like a William O'Neill book, like How to Make Money in Stocks.
Nice.
That book is just, well, first of all, it's like $2 on Kindle, but don't get the Kindle version, buy the paperback. Because you buy the paperback, then you can make notes in it, and it just starts off with, here's a billion charts. Just look at them and learn how the market looks, because the market repeats itself all the time. I don't care if it's people trading or if it's a computer algorithm, which is, by the way, programmed by people, so it's going to exhibit some of the same characteristics as people. But
like Ray Dalio's like huge system.
Right? Yeah. I mean, like humans are humans, and we're going to react the same way, more or less, to big events, that we always have and that we always will. And so if you look back at O'Neill's book and you look at like these big stock market winners and how those charts looked. You can pull up charts nowadays, from the past 5 years, and it's like, that looks just like this from the 70s or whatever, and you start to get a feel for how the market looks. So how the market feels and how the market looks, those are the two things I think are gonna get the retail investor, the Main Street investor, a leg up over their neighbor or their brother-in-law or whoever else is making more money than them in the stock market.
Yeah, and you talk about, and you show a lot of charts in your daily issues and content. We talked about with Aaron and Amanda in a previous episode a little bit about our business model and our subscription service. Yours is the most unique of seven-figure publishing. Rude Pro is a monthly service, $50 a month, and talk about that value, why it may be different than our more traditional service.
Well, I think it's valuable because you get to hear from me every day. And I'm always going to be brutally honest with how I feel about the stock market and all that stuff. And I try to make it, I don't use a lot of technical jargon. I'm going to post charts, but they're going to be charts that are easy to understand, not a billion lines on them. I'm going to get right to the point, show you these charts, show you our trades, review what's been going on in our portfolio, and then call it a morning. So I want it to be something that you can sit down with a cup of coffee, on your tablet or whatever, take a peek, turn on the financial news if that's your thing. It's not really mine, but if that's what you like to do, do that, absorb it, and come away with a unique view of the markets and feel ready to react to whatever happens during the day, whether the market's up 2% or down 10.
Awesome.
So.
Yeah, and I've been working on a book this year, right?
Yeah, working on a little trading book to kind of give people a behind-the-scenes glance at some of the bigger, longer-term trend plays that we made over the past couple years, and then apply some more of the trading rules that I've accumulated, because that's the kind of stuff that I really can't get into every single day. I can't waste 5,000 words on telling people exactly what brought me to whatever particular buy or sell decision happens. So I want to get into that more in the book about how I take apart the market, how I look at everything from the averages on down to individual stocks, and what makes a good trade, what makes a bad trade, the process, how to take better risks, that sort of thing.
Right.
So yeah, that's what the book's all about.
Awesome.
A great companion to just, to absorb on the weekends when there's no rude awakening coming out. And then on the weekdays, hit the ground running, know exactly what to do.
Awesome. I'm excited. Can't wait. So this has been a great just overview of what you're all about and what people can expect, just hearing from you every day. I'm excited already. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
No, I think the fireplace was great. You could have used some ferns maybe on either side of us.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. No, the markets can be a daunting place, especially with all of the noise from the financial media. So I would say the one thing to think about every time that you see a news story or a talking head on TV talking about the market, always approach what they're saying with some skepticism and wonder why everybody has to know why things are happening, or that article you read in the Wall Street Journal where it tells you why exactly stocks went up or down the previous day.
Cool.
Think about that. Think about you know, like, did they go out and interview every single person that bought and sold shares on that given day? Do they really know what's happening? You know, and always remember, you know, how you feel and how the herd feels about the market and how the market looks are much more important than all this noise that we're seeing in the media.
Yeah, I mean, that can also get you in trouble too, is if everyone's getting in and yeah. So interesting. This was great. Thanks for chatting with me today, Greg.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Appreciate it. So we've done a couple of these podcast episodes so far. If there's anything you guys would like to see or a different format, different style, please leave a comment or review on the Seven Figure Podcast on iTunes, YouTube, all of the many different places you'll find it. And to learn more about Greg, just hit up sevenfigurepublishing.com and look up the Root Awakening service. Thanks for coming again, Greg.
You're welcome.
This is great.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.